Hello and welcome to the show today. My name is Jasmine Sreenika, Crystalsinger, and I'm the founder of Success Siren. I help soulpreneurs who are struggling with perfectionism and procrastination step out of the shadows so they can shine and serve more soulmate clients with the power of video. And I'm also the creator of this year-long incredible journey with intimate Zoom conversations with soulpreneurs and other light workers who are here to, in all their vulnerability, share their stories, share their journey from struggling to successful, from hiding and persecuted to visible. So you're going to get it straight and raw from the source here. As always, this show exists, the Success Siren Salon exists because of you, dear viewers. So whatever questions you have, you'll be able to connect with me and our show host after the show. We'll let you know exactly how you can do that. But without any further ado, I would love to share, I'm so excited for this, to share my very special guest who is connecting all the way from Australia, Therase Cucinotta. She is a womb healer. She is the creator of the Femme Alchemy method, and Femme Alchemy is her brand. And she's here today to talk about something I think is so essential in 2018, which is really healing our deep core wounds so that we can shine, so that where we are moving from, how we are speaking, how we are connecting from the heart is coming from that place of wholeness rather than a place of fear or a place of needing to hide. Or we can talk about this later in the show, even copying others or not being exactly sure what our own foundational strength is in our soul gifts that we're bringing to the world at this time. So welcome to the Success Siren Salon, Therase.
Thank you so much for having me. And I love the name, Success Siren Salon. I think the name itself just made me want to, when you invited me, you said, yes, I want to be on that show.
Yay! And it's no coincidence because you are a siren. There are just a few keywords that are really popping up for me. I'm so excited and have so many questions for you. What is it really to be a womb healer? And can you tell our audience a little bit more about your own journey in visibility that led you to the work of helping women reconnect with their sacred feminine, and how that helps them be whole in their business and in their life beyond?
Absolutely. And if I may, I'd like to give you a little bit of background, because I think, like anything, someone's story in its entirety does, you know, I part of my business I do call a sacred journey, because I think in many ways, contrary to popular demand and belief, I don't think there are 2 or 3 steps to anything. I think it's a journey that we go on. So as far as my big why for why I'm drawn to the womb healing work, although my background was in counseling, coaching, NLP, I've done a lot of the sort of mind psychology studies, and I did transpersonal psychology as well, which has that mind, body, spirit aspect. Mm-hmm. When you talk about visibility, a little bit of background on myself. I was raised by 3 very beautiful Italian women. And the reason for this is that I'd actually lost both my parents by the time I was 3. My mother passed away when I was just on 12 months, and then my dad passed a couple of years later. So I was very much taken in, really, as my mother wasn't really well to raise me. So I had my Italian, my father's family step in. And, you know, Italians have that sense of community. And my mother was English, French, although she was born in Australia, so was my dad, and so was I. So being raised by those women taught me a lot about the feminine, yet at the same time, as you can understand, not having my birth mother raise me, that did affect my sense of self, my sense of the feminine, even my sense of visibility too, because both my parents were models back in the 60s. And I mean, look, I'm a mother, I've got 2 daughters, and it's quite an interesting thing. Like I can, if you can imagine, I can look at my daughters in the eye and know they're of me. Whereas growing up, I didn't really have that. Do you know what I mean? And I've heard many women say to me that sometimes they say even the way a father looks at his daughter gives her a sense of her beauty or her visibility. Well, like I said, as you can imagine, not having both birth parents in my life, you know, visibility was a bit of a thing for me. And although, like I said, the women that raised me did such a beautiful job, and they did love and honor and protect me, but I still had to go through that journey of discovery. So as far as visibility goes, it's been something that had been in my life for quite some time. What led me to the womb work was that after doing a lot of the psychology and counseling training, which was incredible, it wasn't till I really hit a bit of a crisis in my life. I was divorcing. I'd become a mother. I'd had 2 daughters. But again, I'd never been taught the real depth of what womb work is. And I just ended up going to this program, which was the art of the feminine or something. And it was just a little program here in Australia. But it opened up this whole world. And like I said, I'd done counseling, coaching, NLP, you name a modality. I'd done it because I love to learn. But when I learned about the womb and the importance of the womb in a woman's life, and of course, you know, I've said to many people, men as well, you know, you don't get up on the planet unless you come through the womb. I mean, literally, that's the container, that's the sacred chalice where the gestation period happens, and you know, then we're given birth to. So the womb is incredible, and now it's been backed by science that, for example, if your mother is in trauma, we as a baby, whether you're male or female, you feel that. You know, if you've got an anxious mother, you'll tend to have an anxious baby. If you've got a calm mother, you have a calm baby. So when I started learning about this womb work, it really changed everything for me. In fact, for the first time, I think I realized, and I was probably 42 at the time, I realized what feminine embodiment and empowerment meant for the first time in my life. And I was in my 40s. So I was just like, right. So since probably the last 8 years, I've done many years of training, study, research, both esoteric, ancient wisdom. There's a lot of womb practices, a lot of ancient knowledge all around this body of work. So I've dedicated and devoted myself to learning about it. So then that brought me to doing some one-on-one work with women, and it was mainly about getting in touch with the feminine. But what ended up happening was, and it's not been my experience, but I had women come to me that had had miscarriages. They'd not been able to fall pregnant. Some have had sexual abuse and harassment. And I found that once we started doing that work, even though they had looked at psychology and other modalities to shift some of the work or the shame or things they were feeling, it wasn't until we started to do the womb work that I saw some of the most incredible results. Like one of my clients was living in Mexico at the time. She was an environmental scientist, originally from the US. And I was in this group, and she reached out just online and said, please, sisters, you know, can you send me some good vibes? I keep losing pregnancies at 9 weeks. And because I'd had a woman come to an in-person workshop with me, and she was part of a business group. And again, it's unusual what we share and don't share in different environments. She'd had a miscarriage the month before, and none of us knew. She didn't share it. She just didn't say anything. But when she came to my sort of like mini workshop, and I'd taken them through a very powerful womb meditation, in the feedback she'd shared with us that she'd lost the baby. And then when she discovered, again, just tapping into that energy, just from the meditation, we decided we'd do some one-on work together. Anyway, I ended up going on one of my trips. I was on the Wayne Dyer Holy Land and Beyond cruise, but unfortunately he had passed, so it ended up being a dedication to him. So we went to Israel, Turkey, Greece. It was incredible. But we had flagged that when I got back, we were going to do some one-on-one work, releasing grief and clearing the space, you know, because she'd had her miscarriage. Anyway, I got back about almost 2 months later, and little did I know that I went to this business group, and her name was Tammy, and everyone was like really quiet, and I said, what's wrong? They said, oh, just wait for Tammy to arrive. She ended up falling pregnant 2 weeks after the workshop. We didn't even get, like, it was crazy. But after that, we did a bit of work to just through phone calls and things like that, just to make sure everything was okay. And yeah, she's got a healthy baby girl, which was just incredible. So again, this woman, her name was Mira, she put out this thing, and I said, look, you know, I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I think I can help. And so we ended up having a Skype call. She was 9 weeks pregnant. So we ended up having a Skype call every week till 12 weeks. And then she decided to work with me because she was still holding the baby. And once a month, sometimes twice a month, we'd just check in, and I'd take her through different practices, even simple things like, you know, rubbing coconut oil and being very mindful of womb space. And, you know, we just did a number of processes. And she had a baby last year around my birthday in April. So again, that made me really realize that it's not me that's doing the healing as such. It's just allowing the women that work with me to tap into their own body's healing.
Beautiful.
And that's how I kind of went into it. But, you know, that's not to say that the work that I do doesn't help a woman, you know, not only with the fertility piece. I've found that we give birth to many things as women, to ourselves.
It's our creative, watery womb where all of our creations, whether we have a business or a book or some other idea. And I'd love for you to speak to when we are wounded in this area. And I really want to reach out to the viewers. It's been extremely prevalent in our minds, the whole Me Too campaign. And beyond the sexual assault, harassment, or abuse, there is a general dishonoring and defiling of the divine feminine that is wounding the healthy expression of sensuality in the sacred sense. And what does that do to women? Because even if they are themselves maybe, and hopefully not, you know, the victim of this type of abuse, they have sisters, they have friends, they live in a society in which it is not safe for them to connect to their primal source of creative energy. So what happens when a woman is disconnected, Maria Theresa, from her primal center of creativity? What happens, and what can potentially go wrong?
Well, if I was to answer that with the depth of truth that I believe that the effect on women is killing them, literally. Because when you are disconnected from our primordial feminine energy, which does sit in the womb, look, yes, we have the chakra system, right? We have the feminine brain at the back. We have the throat chakra. We have the heart chakra, the solar plexus, the womb, and of course the base chakra or the yoni. It is all connected. And I personally have not had severe sexual abuse, But have I been harassed as a woman? Have I felt unsafe as a woman? Absolutely. And actually, I can tell you that I found out later on through my aunt that my own mother, before she met my father, had some sexual abuse. So I can tell you that when I've had women come to me and tell me some of their abuse experiences, I can say I can feel it in my body. Because one thing we must understand as women, although we are, of course, individuals and we all have our own sovereignty, we are very much connected. And again, that goes back to the womb. Through the matrilineal line, your mother was once in your grandmother's womb. And your grandmother was in your great-grandmother's womb, and down the line, right? And up the line. So same with my daughters. When they fall pregnant, they were once in my womb and their future child's once in their womb. So again, there is that thread that goes amongst all women. So although we are individuals, we are very much connected. So, and whether, you know, we talk about the patriarchy or the matriarchy, it doesn't really matter. The end of the day is that when a woman is not really connected to her internal feminine power, it's her life force. And as I said, I know what it was like to be disconnected from my own.
What were the deepest feelings that you experienced, and how bad did it get before you yourself sought to heal as the healer, the wound within?
Well, like I said, losing my own mother was a big thing for me. And I can tell you, and this is and now that I've learned what I've learned, I see now the pattern. Even as a young girl, when I first menstruated, when I first had my period, I was 14. I did not have a regular period. So you're supposed to have your cycles every 28 days. So I used to have my period 3 times a year.
Wow.
Still, I was put on back then the pill to regulate it. Well, the pill doesn't regulate it. It convinces your body that it's pregnant. And that's kind of the way it works. It wasn't till I had my own children, and I actually even thought I would have trouble having children, because again, imagine only having your period 3 times a year. You know, what sort of cycle is that? I ended up, after the birth of my first daughter, I ended up becoming regular for the first time in my life. And again, I didn't even know the womb work that I do now. But it all makes sense looking back. Then I was in a marriage, and look, my daughter's father is an amazing father, but unfortunately our relationship did end up, going downhill. And then I found myself shutting down my feminine as well, and it's funny because some people might on appearance say, oh, but you come across so feminine and all the rest of it. But again, that's only half of the issue. You can look what I suppose, and that's another thing. To me, there are many, and I teach the women I work with, there are many faces of the feminine. I think we can have very narrow viewpoints of what the feminine is or is not. So
Absolutely.
I think there are many faces of the feminine, and that's a big belief and honouring of mine, because I have not met a woman that I cannot find something beautiful or feminine about. There's not one. And so for me, I think culturally, I live in Australia. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. I can have this conversation with any woman anywhere, and they can all express, yes, there are times I don't fit the ideal, whatever that is in their culture. So by not being in touch with the feminine, because there were parts of me that wasn't, again, I was living a half life. I had... I was tired. I was struggling as a mother. I was struggling through a divorce and separation. But when I started to do this womb work, the domino effect on my health, my vitality, my relationship with my daughters, my relationship with my ex-husband, now the relationship that I'm in now, I can't tell you, the 360 degrees is unbelievable. And in fact, when I look back when I was in my 30s, when I first had my children, I think I feel and look more vital and happy now than I did then. Because again, I didn't know what I knew. And like I said, I was raised by these amazing women. But again, they were widows, so they were really having to push through. And, you know, I called her my mum. She had me literally, you know, since my mother passed and I was 12 months old. So I called her mum. But because she was a widow, she did have to kind of be in her masculine a lot because she looked after me, her own daughter, her mother, and helped my father get through his younger brother, the death of his wife. So again, the feminine to me is strong, resilient, powerful, you know what I mean? And even mum, like we got to talking because, you know, we did lose her. She passed a few years ago. I taught her things in her 70s. and it was so amazing. And she was an opera singer too, like you. And she was an incredible woman.
Well,
yeah.
I was an opera director, but I totally. So I directed the singers.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah, tell me more about her. What an extraordinary woman.
She was, and like I said, I called her mum, but yeah, she had a beautiful operatic voice, but unfortunately, back in the day, she was not allowed to chase her dream. You know, she sung opera locally, but she was discovered, and they wanted to take her to America, and she was, I think, 16.
Wow.
But my grandfather was like, no, you know, because again, he didn't want her to fall into the wrong, and all this stuff happened. And again, that didn't change her voice, and she did some local things, but I did see as well her not living her dream. And she was successful in other ways, but I did have a very intimate viewpoint of that too. And I was very lucky because she raised me very much that she believed in me, she encouraged me. And I did grow up with that message of you can be whatever you want. And even with that message and even with that love, there was still wounding of the feminine, losing my mum. And then, of course, culturally and sometimes in the wrong relationship can wound the feminine as well. So it's very multi-layered.
Oh, for sure. I'm just really feeling into how proud she must be of you now. You are currently writing your book, something we'll talk about toward the end of the show, and you're set to appear in a huge documentary with a very apt title called The Cure. I mean, what is that for a visibility story? I know we talked privately before the show about, you know, times in your business that you know, you were struggling, or we all have these moments. We feel, you know, it's just so hard. And then we keep coming to the table because we're called to be leaders at the highest level. So just tell our beautiful soulpreneur and lightworker viewers what that was like for you to have this opportunity, and right where you are now, really set to expand in visibility, what that means to you to be where you are right now.
Well, to say that I was struggling in my business is an understatement. And I'll tell you, and for me, it's been the biggest lesson ever. And honestly, after my divorce, we had huge financial losses. You know, just a lot of things happened. And I am quite open in saying, I mean, really, we literally lost almost everything, and that was quite a big hit. It was a big hit spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Like I was a mess, honestly. But and here's the thing, right? Here's the crazy thing. I'll tell you how the cure happened, and you know, it's not too long a story, but I have to tell you, and I'd really love for your listeners to know that, again, I couldn't make this up if I tried. Anyway, my business, as you know, started out as Femme International because, again, I did the counseling, coaching, I did image consulting. So I did a lot of work with the mind and sort of the external presentation. And my background was fashion and cosmetics, you know, when I kind of dropped out of uni because I didn't finish my psych degree straight out of school. Anyway, so I was doing this women's kind of coaching program with a lovely woman in Canada. And one of the girls said to me, your business is called Femme, right? And I said, yeah, because my mother had French background, so it was in her honor that I called it Femme. And then I started doing more feminine empowerment work. And she said, oh, have you seen this documentary? It's called Femme, the movie. And I went, no. So she sent me the little clip, and it was directed by a beautiful man called Emmanuel Etier. He's a lovely French guy, lives in LA. And it was produced by Sharon Stone, as in, Sharon Stone from Basic Instinct and all those. And I saw this documentary, and it was talking about the matriarchy and the patriarchy, and talking about how, is the next paradigm the masculine and feminine, like working in partnership. And I'm watching just a small little clip, and I'm thinking, that's what I believe. That's what I do. And so I went straight to the website and had a look, and I couldn't see it anywhere in Australia. And this is like about 5-6 years ago now. And so it was very unusual for me. I was not, like I said, in the great space. I was about to leave my marriage. But I messaged Emmanuel and said, look, I'm on your site. I've seen the documentary, but I can't see it in my country. I'm in Australia. And, and he said to me, Maria, I used to live in Australia. And he said, and I had my first documentary called The Invocation, which was all about like spirituality and things like that. And he said, I didn't really have a good distributor, so I don't really know much about it. He goes, but I really like you. Let me send you a copy. So he sent me a copy of the movie. So I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I said, Emmanuel, you've got to bring it to Australia. I said, I'll do it myself if I have to. Anyway, long story short, my divorce. We lost everything, but we had kept in touch. I didn't end up bringing it to Australia like 5 years ago, but we always kept in touch. Anyway, I ended up going to LA. We met in person. It was funny. We went to this Rotary thing he invited me to, and because it's called Femme, and his name's Emmanuel, and he and I were the only non-Rotarians in this Southern California Rotary Club. They walked in and they thought I was Emmanuel, the director, and he was like, so we started laughing. That was a joke always. So anyway, we just formed this fantastic friendship, and then literally I said, I'm so sorry, Emmanuel, and he said, you know what, Maria, life happens. He goes, I've been divorced. He said, it'll show in Australia when it's meant to. And again, like I said, I wasn't feeling the most successful then. So he called me, not last year, but towards the end of 2016, and said to me, Maria, this woman in Brisbane, she runs a non-for-profit. I don't know how she found me. She wants to fly me out and show Femme in Brisbane. I want you there. And I was like, oh, wow, that'd be fantastic. And like I said, my business was struggling. I was struggling, I was divorced, having my daughters half the time. I was in a bit of a world of pain. But I thought, but I believe in this, and I believe in him, and I still had a bit of belief in myself. So he said, get on a plane. So put it on my credit card, went on a plane. He'd organised for me to stay at this woman's house with him, lovely woman. So I went there to support him. And I went there to support the movie, and I went there because Brisbane is like an hour flight away. So I went there, and they had a fundraiser, and it was to help suicide with teenagers. And unfortunately, that was, unfortunately, my mother did pass due to suicide, due to some complications, postnatal depression and many things back in those times. I'm glad that things have changed a bit now as far as help. But again, it really appealed to me to support that fundraiser. So I went there, and we were talking, and, they screened Femme, they had the fundraiser, and, I spent 3 days with him and Kelly. And he said, so what are you doing now? And what's going on? And I said, well, and I told him about the depth of the womb work that I was doing. He said, oh my gosh. He said, you know that Sharon and I are doing a couple more documentaries? I went, no. And he said, yes, and one's called The Cure, and it's exploring different, you know, of course it honours the normal medical system, of course, but, you know, because if you've got a broken leg or something, I mean, you know, you've got to go to the hospital. He said, but it's looking at different methods of healing, like acupuncture, energy medicine, shamanism, epigenetics, you name it. Anyway, and he goes, I want to interview you for it. And I was like, what? And he said, yes, I want to interview you. He goes, I think that's fascinating, the work you're doing with women. So that's how it happened. He interviewed me for it. Like, and honestly, you know, and I've had people say, oh, how did you get into it? Let me tell you, when you're on the right path and it's divine timing, you don't actually get into anything. You attract and magnetize. And especially when you go to something with a pure intention. I went there to support something I believed in. And
Absolutely.
like I said, you know, did I go there for any particular thing? Not really. I mean, and I said I'd like to eventually show it in Sydney, and I will be showing Femme actually this year in Sydney and Melbourne. But I got interviewed for that documentary, and again, you know, I mean, he said, oh, I've got to interview Deepak and, you know, Jean Houston, and I'd just come back actually from Sedona. I'd gone to Celebrate Your Life, and I'd met Jean Houston, who I love, and I love Barbara Marx Hubbard, and Brandon Bays is in the documentary as well. And
That's
then
a star-studded cast of healers. Amazing.
Oh, crazy, right? Unbelievable. And then he interviewed me and a few other, you know, natural therapists in Australia. And I got a call the other night. And again, like, until you see it, I mean, you know, you just don't know. And not that I've seen it, but the producer, Kelly, said to me, oh, I've seen the first cuts. And she said, and you're in it. And I was like, no. She goes, you're in it. And honestly, Jasmine, and I just sat there and cried. Because
I'm sure.
I'm
so happy for you. I want to cry.
do you know how many times I almost thought to God or Divine Mother, I was like on my knees thinking, what do I do? I just can't do this. I don't know what I'm meant to do. Maybe, you know, all those people are right. Be normal, get a normal job, and stop with this sort of dream of yours to help women, you know, or to help or make a difference. And, you know, you've got to be practical, and you've got to, do you know what I mean? You know what it's like. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that that's coming out this year in 2018. And I was going to write my book anyway, because I felt that although I've worked with women that maybe didn't have the loss of their mother so young as I did, they've said, oh, but Maria, we can relate to the mother wound because of other circumstances. And of course, you know, there's wounds of the father as well, you know. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so I think womb healing and the work that I do with women, you know, has many, many benefits. Like I said, not just fertility and conscious conception, but just us as a woman. And I can say that I'd even go so far to say, because, you know, I've got 2 daughters, and someone said, do you work with teenage girls? And if I do, I like to work with them and their mothers. Yeah. But we as women, we are a temple. And I say to my teenage girls, and if anyone's got teenage girls, I think you know what I mean when I say, girls, you're a temple. We're a temple. We're not a visitor center. Do you know what I mean?
That makes so much sense.
And when I heard that, a colleague said that to me a couple of years ago, and I laughed my head off, because I thought it's true. And it's not being a prude, and it's not about having a sense of not owning your sexuality or sensuality, but it's about, again, it's an intimate thing, and it's not a visitor center. You want anybody that comes to you, whether it's another man or a woman or, you know, whatever your orientation is, you want to be honored. And you want to honor your partner as well. So again, it's also that balance within of the masculine and feminine, which I think is another piece. As much as I honor the feminine, I think it's very important to honor the divine masculine as well, because I think men sometimes are hurting as well. you know.
Totally. And I think it's from that wounding that the divide and the disconnect from our bodies, the body, mind, soul connection from one another. We came here as one to experience this dualistic universe for soul growth, is my belief, personal belief. And it is this journey, as you said, towards embodiment, the soul embodied here and now. I tell my clients, you were not given the dream if you were not meant to do it. This is a sacred offering from the divine, and you are the vessel, very much like giving birth. You are that sacred temple, the sacred vessel through which beauty is being birthed, through which truth is being expressed. Exactly. And I find that the wounding that we've been talking about of the divine feminine, whether it's through sexual abuse, sexual assault, or being misunderstood, or we can even talk about the clients who come to me with generational trauma. They are still living the patterns of their ancestors. And I know that the womb healing you do actually sends that healing back in time and also forward towards their children and their children. It's fabulous the work you do. I just feel so guided by spirit to invite you, Maria Theresa, to share an embodiment practice with our viewers today so they can get this transformation and this shift and start to feel what it is like, instead of reacting out of our wounding or covering it up with an external mask, really daring to be vulnerable in our incompleteness and our imperfection as we on our journey to wholeness, as we can anchor more and more light and be greater beacons of inspiration on this planet.
Absolutely, I'd love to do that. But just before I do, and again, depending on where the viewers are looking at this particular interview, what I'd like to do, if they can't do it while they're watching it, after I take you a mini process, I'd like them to do this as well. And let me explain. When I was in the cure, like I said, it's only a very short part, and it was just after Deepak spoke. And I'm happy to say that he and I were on the same page, and we spoke about how we are very intimately connected to Mother Earth. And I had said, when Gaia is in trouble, we are in trouble. So right now, maybe your viewers are looking at this on, on one of their devices or on a laptop, wherever they're looking at it. But no matter where they're doing it, if they're inside, that's fine. But the reason I bring it up is that putting our bare feet on the earth, and I happen to live, it's summer right now in Sydney, and, the window's open, it's 4 p.m, the breeze is coming through. But every day, whether it's sand, sea, grass, earth, if we put our bare feet on the earth, that's one step as well as far as working with healing the womb, because our womb is a portal and we are connected to the earth's womb. And you can probably see Pele in the background.
Totally.
I ended up going to an amazing womb awakening teacher training in the big island of Hawaii. And again, seeing that lava flowing into the ocean. And I'd never been to the big island before because I've done a lot of traveling and picked up a lot of ancient wisdom for lots of different places. Putting our feet on the earth, no matter where you are, is important. So we're about to do a little bit of a meditation process now.
Right. Beautiful.
And your listeners, but like I said, after we do it, I'd like you also to ground it after this session is over. And if you can, that day or the next day with intention, go and please put your bare feet on the earth or the sea or the sand, wherever you live. So is that okay?
Wonderful. That's brilliant. So yes, so if you are doing something else, pause this and come back to it when you can create a little bit of sacred space around you, obviously not when driving or anything like that. So just come back to this if you are not in a space right now where you can do this. But if you are available now, I invite you with the collective energy of all of our sisterhood and our brotherhood, all of the light workers and soulpreneurs tuning in to the portal of wisdom that Maria Theresa is opening now to join us in this practice.
Okay, and just before you close your eyes, and if you would like to do this, I invite you, before any one-on-one or any speak, I always light a candle. It's just my way of creating sacred space. So if your viewers would like to do that as well, I invite you to go away, grab a candle and light it.
Or some incense, if
some
incense is helpful for you.
Exactly.
Whatever works for you.
Whatever works for you. And well, I haven't got any music because we're just doing this off the cuff, but that's fine. Just listen to my voice. So when you're ready, I would like to invite you to close your eyes, please. And I'd like you all to take 3 deep cleansing breaths. So when you close your eyes, I would like you to inhale to the count of 4, taking the breath deep past the heart, past the solar plexus, into the womb, which is about a couple of inches down from the navel. And then on the exhalation, I would like you to breathe out any tension, anything that doesn't belong there. And then on the next inhalation, I'd like you to breathe deeply on the count of 4, past the heart chakra, solar plexus, down into the womb. And I'd like you to take it even further down to the root chakra. And then on the exhalation, I would like you to breathe out any tension, any negativity, nothing that belongs there. Now on the 3rd deep cleansing breath, to the count of 4, I would like you to breathe in past the heart, solar plexus, womb, root chakra, and I'd like you to send that energy down through the soles of your feet, anchoring into Mother Earth, into Gaia. And then on the exhalation, breathe out anything, any tension that doesn't belong there. Now, still with your eyes closed, I would like you to put your left hand on your heart and your right hand on your womb space, which is basically, like I said, just an inch or 2 below the navel. And I would just like you to start centering your awareness between your heart and your womb, and just breathing and imagining the most beautiful, whatever color it is for you. For me, it's a beautiful pink color, and I'd like you to send that beautiful pink color almost in, if you can imagine that infinity symbol, that loop between the heart and the womb. So you're sending the love of your heart into your womb space, and you're also taking your beautiful wisdom, because we contain so much wisdom in our wombs, and bringing that back up into the heart space. And sometimes this can be very emotional for some women that have never ever connected into womb space. Some may feel numbness, some may feel grief, some may feel anger. Everything is welcome, because again, in order for us to transmute or alchemize whatever is in our beautiful womb, she's there for us, and she is our wisdom and our creativity. So if we just spend a little bit of time imagining that beautiful energy exchange between the heart and the womb, and like I said, whatever comes up, it's all welcome. And even if there's nothing there, please don't worry. Just allow the acknowledgement. And if you are a woman that in fact has had a hysterectomy, and I've been told, Maria, but I don't have a womb anymore. But you do. the energetic imprint of your womb is there forever. So for your viewers that may be of an age or have gone into early menopause or had a hysterectomy, your womb is still there for you. She's there for you. So just a few more minutes more, few moments of that beautiful pink loving energy between heart and womb, just connecting in. It's such a beautiful practice, especially if you've not done that before, just as an introduction.
Wow. It's
so whenever you're ready, you can slowly bring yourself back into the room and open your eyes. And I think even when you're opening your eyes, I think the way you see your surroundings and the way you see yourself, there can't help but be a change. So how was that for you, Jasmine? Have you ever, it was only a touch. It was just a touch.
I've never experienced this feedback loop in this way between my native way of embodying everything is through dance, and it just felt like the dance coursing through my body, and I just felt like I wanted to take the figure of 8 bigger and bigger and send it out into the world. I just feel because I'd woken up quite early, I very gently, I always do things gently to allow the energy to start to flow. But this was like feeling zipped up in, a cocoon of love, but with amazing somatic feedback. So my womb telling me things, asking me things, entreating me to do certain things in a new way. I got such clear intuitive guidance just from this practice. It's incredible what you're teaching.
And that is like, I mean, honestly, and like I said, not that I wasn't prepared, but I didn't realize we'd be doing that. So
I just felt guided by spirit to share it. Thank you for sharing.
Of course, and I was happy to do that. So I'm glad that you did get a beautiful somatic experience, because again, it is even something so simple like that. I would recommend to your viewers, just as that, don't get out of bed until you do this in the morning. It will change the way you walk through the day. Just like I don't do it. Like my feet don't touch the floor. That's how I start my day. I wake up and the little loop between my heart, my left hand and on womb space, just a few breaths sometimes, because I've got kids and, I want my work to work within a woman's life, to enhance a woman's life. Beautiful. For her to get that sense of sacredness. And of course, in some of my workshops and things like that, dance is a part of it. Dancing is a part of it.
Gorgeous. So like you are leading these sacred journeys. That's part of the Femme Alchemy offering that you're giving. We only have a few moments left in the show, but I really would love for viewers to know about these sacred journeys that you will be leading, how they can connect with you. I know you have a free chapter to your book, so many resources for us all to take this practice. And even if you're a man, I wanted to say, this practice is incredible, connecting your heart to your sacral chakra. So please don't feel that this is exclusively to women. It's very powerful, I believe, for us all.
Oh, absolutely it is. In fact, at the training I was in Hawaii, there were 3 men in the room because they connect to their hara. But yeah, look, I'm literally, when we talk about creating, giving birth, I'm getting my website redone at the moment, and I think it will be in the links. I have my Femme Alchemy page, which is all about, because I offer rituals as well. So you can either connect with me on Femme Alchemy, or you can connect with me on my Facebook page, Maria Therase. And you can send me a direct message, and I'm very happy to share the introductory chapter, which is embodying the divine feminine, and just for your people as well, because I think you're an amazing woman, and the Success Siren is such an amazing concept, and I'm honored to be part of the series. If someone would like to message me direct, I am very accessible, and we can talk about working together. I work via Skype. I do one-on-one work, and so I'll offer a special deal from anyone that comes through this particular program. So I'll offer
that's just incredible.
Like
I know that it is so useful wherever you are on your journey to have a tool or a resource, and to have this unprecedented access to Maria Theresa is really amazing. So again, I want to thank you so much for being a featured guest on the Success Siren Salon. And hopefully this program only exists because of you viewers. So please send us comments, your feedback. Reach out to Maria Theresa. Tell her, what this experience was like. Avail yourself of these resources, because it's not something on your to-do list. It is an embodiment practice that will shift you into the energetic frequency of becoming a vibrational match for what you are here to manifest, what you are here to ground down, and how you are here to serve, stepping up in your visibility and shining your very brightest in 2018 and beyond. So thank you again to Maria Therase Cucinotta, the creator of Femme, Alchemy, and womb healer, and author and documentary star to be here, which is so fabulous. And tune in next week for another episode of the Success Siren Salon. Remember to contribute, captivate, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.